What's up, guys? It's AJ, and we are on episode 4 for the F1 2021 Drivers Career Mode. We are at Monaco this week. This is the standings and average finishes up to this point. You can see Lewis Hamilton is leading by 15 points over Max Verstappen. Lewis has won the first two, Max won the second, and then Valtteri has been consistently there. Perez has had a couple unlucky races and so on, so you just got to see where we're sitting. Hopefully this race goes a little better than the past. I've never been a big fan of Monaco, so let's see what we can do here. And let's see how this race pans out compared to the last 3 races of the season so far. Here's the current R&D standings as we sit. We are currently 5th in the R&D chart. Just kind of average, trying to catch McLaren and Ferrari. So the goal is just basically to finish P9, P10 area. Goal is obviously to finish higher. But we do have a nice gap to Aston Martin now. So the goal is just to kind of keep up with those guys and see if we can't get some extra points over them moving to the next couple races of the season. So without further ado, we'll get into Monaco here, get to the qualifying sessions. Like in the past, I did 2 runs. I think I just did 1 run that are 2 laps in a row at Monaco for Q1. So this is just kind of the highlights of that. Kind of show where we're sitting and how we fare with the rest of the cars in the field. And kind of jumping forward to the end of the lap here. See what kind of a lap we can get. If I'm not mistaken, this lap was kind of scruffy when I was doing it the first go around here, the first run, and I did kind of overshoot that turn. So just gotta check to see what kind of tire wear I had when I was going. So I did decide, I think, to do a second lap in a row. We had a 1:13.6, which wasn't that great. This is kind of showing I was kind of down going up sector 1, but I think towards the end of the lap, I think I ended up didn't get in some time. So I think going through sector 3, when I jump forward, I am about a 3/10 up. Going through this here, I gained quite a bit of time just through these S's and the swimming pool section. So I think after this, I made it through pretty simple. I think I gained about a second just because I didn't overshoot that turn there. So I gained about a second, 1.2 seconds altogether. Let's see, total time on this lap was 1:12.6, so not bad. Jumping forward here, this is the standings as of right now. So Schumacher, Russell, Giovinazzi, Mazepin, and Latifi are all out in round 1 for qualifying. So let's jump forward into Q2 and see where we sit. It was all dry, so the tires we start on or make it through Q2 4 is what we start the race on Sunday. Coming around here, start the second qualifying round, lap 1 here. We see that I think I do fuel enough to run 2 laps in a row. Even if you do put the minimum fuel in it, that gives you enough to run 2 laps in a row on a qualifying run. So the goal was to get as fast a lap as I could coming through the turn here. So let's see what kind of lap time I get. I did get quite a bit understeer through that turn, so it wasn't the greatest lap in the world. But jumping towards the end of the lap here, I think we ended up getting a pretty decent lap after it was all said and done. So we're coming on the last 2 turns. Again, I got quite a bit understeer going through that turn. With the DRS open, I think I ended up getting like in the 1:12s. Or 1:13.2. So I think, yeah, I did run another lap in a row here. Just to kind of see what I can get for lap time. To try to see if I could improve. Going through sector 1, I made even on my time, and I was up a 10th or 2 going through the second sector here. I did get a purple second sector. I was up a half second by the end of the swimming pool sector, so I lost a lot of time there. I didn't realize I lost the first go around, and I'm up 8/10 going through the last sector. So I think finishing the lap, I ended up having a 1:12.549, so that wasn't bad. So doing the second run here, I just try to see if I can improve the lap time any. See if I get into the 1:11s hopefully. So this is technically a 3rd lap in Q2. So we'll see where I get going up the sector. I'm already green, a 10th up going into turn 1. Did lose a little bit of it, but I did stay even. So we'll check here where we're at the end of the lap. we're down a little bit. But like I said, normally the second lap on these runs was better for some reason, and I don't know why. If it was just a track temperature thing or what, but I think I do have to run 2 laps in a row on this run as well. So this just shows where we're sitting. I am down 4/10 on that run, but I think I continue the lap to see where we are at. And I am green up that sector for a minute. And we go even, and we're actually up a tenth at the end of the sector, looks like. A couple tenths to that turn. So at the end of the lap, we are still up a tenth. Lost a little bit of time through that chicane. We're just floating even with the delta that we had, so it's basically just trying to see if we can improve some, but it doesn't look like we can. I believe we stayed even, maybe get a tenth, but no, we stayed even going down the straight. So our time on this run was a 1:12.5, so that's where we stayed, and I think that's what we ended up getting for that. So, and at the end of Q2, we do make it through to on P10, staying even with our teammate there. So not too bad. Just hoping we can be better in Q3. So let's see what we can do in Q3 with only one set of fresh tires. It's gonna be tough to get through a decent lap, but we'll see what we can get here going into Q3. So starting the first flying lap here, coming across the line with DRs open. See what kind of lap time we can get on the start. A decent run up the hill. A decent turn in around there. So this lap is just trying to see what we can get through the lap here. So in the lap, sector 3 is hopefully pretty smooth. I think with this one, I think I only ran one run in Q3. Just did back-to-back laps, to be honest. I don't think I did 2 runs. So, and I think I went out when the track was empty, so that way I didn't have anybody impede my run. So then the first lap, we were in the 1:12.5. So that's faster than my Q2 time. But let's see if we can improve it this second lap. Right now we are 9th. So ran a little wide there, but we do keep a little bit of rolling speed. Going through that turn, I think we are even, or about a tenth down. So let's see, going through sector 2, we're about half a tenth up. Not gaining much, but a little bit. Through sector 3. Looks like we're floating right with the delta time. We're about 1/10 and a half, 2 tenths up now. So the goal this time was just to improve the second lap. And we're 3 tenths up. So we're 1:12.2 was the time that we had.
Formula One returns to Monte Carlo once again today, home to the world-famous Monte Carlo Casino, first opened in 1863. And, of course, a certain road race, first held here in 1929. There's no greater an occasion, no more valuable a win than the Monaco Grand Prix. The astonishing Circuit de Monaco is, for all intents and purposes, virtually unchanged since its inaugural race back in 1929. The faster cars of today, though, ensure the 19 corners past the casino and along the seafront remain as thrilling as ever. A 2.1-mile lap here takes us around an entire country, yet never more than inches from the race-ending barriers. It's just about time to go to the track for the beginning of the race, but before we do, Anthony Davidson, what types of strategy do you think we can expect for today's event?
Well, there's a lot that both the driver and the team have to keep in mind when going into a race. The tyres, fuel, energy recovery systems, the list goes on and on. But I think the key to today's victory will come down to the pit stop strategy. Come in too soon and you might find yourself needing more than one stop. Too late and you're putting yourself at a disadvantage by spending longer on worn tyres.
Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. Max Verstappen put in a fantastic lap yesterday and he starts from pole position. And it's Valtteri Bottas that completes the front row. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Norris, Leclerc, Rose and Gasly, Fernando Alonso, Hamilton, They'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Vettel and Esteban Ocon, Perez, Stroll, Kimi Raikkonen and Mick Schumacher, Russell, Ricciardo, they've taken a grid penalty, Antonio Giovinazzi and Carlos Sainz, Mazepin and Nicholas Latifi. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out. Then let's see who can prevail today.
So as you can see, there was multiple grid penalties for this race today, so the goal is just to finish as high as possible. I believe I qualified P8, I think, for this race, or P7, just behind Gasly. So not too bad of a start. As long as we finish in the points this race, I'll be happy. So you can see we got a 1-stop. Looks like we'll be putting on lap 11 and on the mediums go the rest of the way. So see what we can do here. This is the 2 strategies we have. If I pit earlier, I would put hards on. We just ran a half lap over on the fuel. This track's not too bad as far as fuel consumption, so won't be terrible. So we'll see what we got here. Let's go to the grid and see what we got for this race. So on the grid, we are starting P5. Wait for these lights to come on, and then we'll go out here, and it is lights out, and away we go. Looks like the 2 guys in the front have a really good start. Max definitely had an excellent start. We do drop a spot on the start. Gasly gets by us. We just fall in line and kind of ride around, see what we can do, see if we can't keep up with them. So if Gasly, or Verstappen, Bottas, Norris, Leclerc, and Gasly top 5 were P6. Just kind of see we got Vettel and Ocon battling side by side through the first sector, see who can get in front of who going in here. And then Perez stuck in P11. We had multiple grid penalties, so it does hurt some people down the grid here. So far, not too bad. We do have a couple people side by side, but like first lap, like usual, we get the slow train going through there. So coming to the end of the first lap into the chicane, we have Max leading, Bottas in second, Norris in third, Leclerc in fourth, and Gasly in fifth. So these guys are trying to nose the tail right now, see who can break away and who cannot. So this is going to be basically a big aero train, see who gets affected by it the most. So it looks like Gasly's trying to keep up with Leclerc, got about a second back, and he's about a second ahead of us. So they're doing pretty good to stay with the gap. I think I did back off a fuzz just to try to keep the aero, that way I wasn't losing too much downforce on the nose. But there was a decent train behind me too as well. So I was just trying to make sure I wasn't getting past, wasn't losing too much time to these guys as well. So on the lap 2, we have Perez in 11th, trying to see if he can gain some spots. They have Stroll in 12th. And this track was pretty much a big line and follow the leader, unless someone made a mistake. So just kind of see what we got moving forward. Max leaning in, going in the tunnel. He is about a second on Valtteri. So he does got about a second gap on him. Coming in to finish lap 1, or lap 2, I'm sorry. But Gasly does get a nice lead on us here following these guys up ahead. So I do drop about 2.5 seconds back, which I do have a little bit older tires than the guys in front of me, because I do have an extra lap on mine compared to everybody else. But, that's so. Other than that, that should be pretty decent. So the goal here was just not to lose too much time in them and just kind of stay and kind of ride around until we make our moves and see what we can do. Like I said, goal was to beat Gasly, but goal in this race was finish top 5, top 6, just to get some decent points for the team. So we'll go around here, see what we can do. I'm trying to find a gap where we can pit, because we will have to make at least 1 stop. Goal is to make a stop on the mediums around lap 10 to 12. We just got to go to the end, so we'll see where we actually do end up pitting. If we have to undercut, we will. But it's kind of rolling. Looks like everybody's got a good pace. We do drop another second and a half to Gasly, so he is gaining on us, but I think a lot of it was just my setup on the understeer that we had. If I do remember right, my tires were actually overheating some when I was doing this, so I was actually overdriving the car a little bit. See, I had some lockups. So just trying to keep Alonso and Hamilton behind me was the hardest part of this whole race. So they were pushing. My goal was to get ahead of them as far as I could, just so that way I can get some points for the team. So I'm bored with Alonso. See, he is keeping up with me within a second. So that's important to keep him from getting DRS on the main straight. From my experience, the DRS hasn't been really helpful for this track because there's so much space there to use. Straight's not long enough in my opinion. But other than that, it is pretty decent. I'm going through these turns through sector 3. Hamilton trying to get by Alonso. He is within 0.3 of him. But nothing doing there. So going in to finish the lap, and Alonso still does keep the spot. So you see DRS is going to be open now for a lot of these guys. Like I said, with DRS train here, especially in the straightaway, you really can't make no moves of it because the guy in front of you has it. So he's close enough to get the slipstream. I don't think Alonso had DRS off of me. But moving forward, that's my POV. We're about 4 seconds behind Gasly here. So my goal was just to kind of save the tires as much as I could. And at the end of the lap, or like end of the stint, try to push someone. The tires were falling off everybody else. So Max is leading Bottas in second by 1.2 seconds from Norris, which is 2.5 seconds back, and then Leclerc and Gasly. Leclerc does have a decent gap. Looks like the top 4 are walking away from everybody else. So jumping forward here, going on to lap 5, we still have a decent gap here between us and the guys behind us. We are starting to pull away from Alonso and Hamilton, which is what the goal was ultimately. Try to get ahead of these guys and try to see if I can, make sure the undercut isn't going to hurt me if they decide to pit before me. But my goal was just kind of judge everybody else around me. If there was nobody coming in, I was actually going to just do an undercut after about 5 or 6 laps. My race director, engineer was telling me, like I said, lap 10 was the pit window, pit 11. I think I ended up pitting on like lap 9, but this video will show us because I don't remember 100%. We are starting to catch up to Gasly now. We were about 4.5 seconds back. So jumping up to lap 8, just kind of see if we can't get the gap. You see the intervals on the left of the screen. Top 4 were pretty much walking away from Gasly as Gasly was seeming to have fallen off with the tire wear. So the goal was just to catch him and see if I can maybe undercut him if I do decide to pit early. I think, if I'm not mistaken, the Jeff did ask me to pit a lap later on lap 12 instead of lap 10 or 11, probably because Gasly wasn't wanting to pit sooner. But I was just basically watching, I think on lap 10 or whatever lap it was. If he wasn't going to pit, I was going to, so I was just kind of watching ahead of me. So, I just see we're just kind of going through the field here where we're sitting. Ocon and Perez still back there. Perez still outside the top 10. I'm going to finish lap 9 now. Just kind of watching our POV, seeing if we pit here, see if we dive in. I don't know if I did or not. I stayed out. So right now, like I said, we're just kind of judging it, see if I can get within that 2-second undercut window. I think I was 3.5 seconds back now, and Gasly is 8 seconds behind Leclerc. So the goal here was ultimately just to get as close as I could, so that way, if he didn't pit this lap, I was going to undercut him. So in the lap, you can see I do undercut. I do pit here instead of lap 11 like I was originally planning to, just to try to get an undercut on Gasly so I wasn't losing out in his, following him. So putting on the mediums to go to the end. You kind of see here we got out. Looks like Sainz behind us also pit with us, so he had a similar idea. He put mediums on as well. See if we can't get ahead of these guys. So Max is leading in lap 11. This is a lap ahead of us, so nobody pit between the lap that I did and now. So we'll see if these guys did. Coming through the swimming pool section here. Looks like Max will dive into the pits. Valtteri does not come in, so it's just Max. He's putting on the mediums. So we'll see where we are in comparison to them. Like, so we're P19, we're 12 seconds ahead of Sainz. So we did get a little bit of a gap. We are behind the back markers now. So I think I did come out 3 seconds behind them by the time it was all said and done. So I did catch up to them by the end of the lap. But Leclerc's in, so the goal was to see if I could undercut both of them. But I doubt that was going to happen. Ricardo comes in. Like I said, there's just kind of catch everybody that came in the pits at the time. So Hamilton's in. You see me just jumping people that came in the pits. I'm up to 17th already just by people pitting. So it does help a bunch. Leclerc is up in P7, so he did not drop too much with that. We were just kind of trying to get by Giovinazzi. He did kind of cut us off there, so we did lose a little bit of ground there, but we catch back up to him. Moving later in lap 12, let's see here. It looks like Valtteri does dive in now, so I'll put Norris up front. Of Norris does not come in. Now, there was a couple guys I believe that did start on mediums. I don't remember 100% in the back of the field, and we take a dive down on the inside of Giovinazzi, so we do make it past him. Now we had our sights set on Latifi. See if we can get ahead of those guys behind us. So Norris come in, and Gasly has not pitted yet, so the goal was to get past Gasly at this point, and I think he does come in this lap. Which is 12 seconds behind Norris. I didn't realize that the first time going through this and editing it. He comes in, puts on his medium tires, and he'll be right back out. So, going forward, looks like Perez is in. And then we come out about a second and a half ahead of him. So pitting 2 laps ahead of him gave me an undercut about 3 to 4 seconds. So that did help out a little bit. So not, I mean, granted, it'll hurt us at the end of the lap, but not so much now when we can actually pull him. So looks like Hamilton gets past Giovinazzi, but he is out behind Gasly. So that will hurt him, but hopefully he can hold him up some so that way we can, keep the position. So now our goal is to get by Latifi. Taking an inside dive down the inside. We do lag a little, but we do make the pass work. It's a little bit of a dive bomb, but I'll take it. And now we're moving up towards Mazepin. So right now the goal was to get as far as I could before these guys were pitting, so that way I had, track position. Some of these guys ahead of me were on mediums from the start, so the goal was just to get ahead of them, so that way I didn't have to worry about it down the road. Just kind of make up as much ground as I could. Here you see, look, I think I make a dive bomb up down the inside of Mazepin, get by him, and you take the position. So now we had about a 4-second gap to Russell. So that was the goal next, was to catch up to him. So jumping forward to in the front straight, looks like Max is trying to chase down Valtteri because Valtteri did stay out an extra lap. So Max lost out doing a stay behind Gasly before his stop. So that did hurt him quite a bit. Vettel's up front and fourth, Leclerc fifth, Norris in sixth. Alonso and Vettel still have to pit. Same with Ocon and Stroll. So that's going to hurt some guys behind them. Some of those guys still haven't pitted yet. I think Raikkonen started on the hards. Mick Schumacher started on the mediums. Russ started on the mediums. So that's just where everybody's at right now. Let's see what we can do here moving forward. Going on to the end of lap 14. We did catch up to the back of Russell. We have DRS to see if we can help make a move, but I don't think we get close enough to do anything with it. And going up the hill, see if we can't catch up, get close enough, see if we can make a move like where we did on his teammate. Try to make a look down the inside, see if we can't make something happen. We make a heck of a dive bomb there, see if we can't get past them, and it looks like we do, so. That was kind of a cheeky dive bomb, but I had to take the move just because the door was open, so we didn't get no damage from it, so that's where we was going. See if we can't move forward here and see if we can't get moves on these other guys. So Russell's in the pits now. Sainz stuck behind the guys behind me, behind Giovinazzi, so that's going to hurt the guys behind us. Perez and Ricardo are stuck in the train like where they are, so it's going to hurt them quite a bit. So this track is just basically a track position game, and if you're lucky, you might get a move made, so that's where we're at. Going towards the end of the lap 16, we're getting close to the halfway point. Nothing new in here. See, we're making a move down the inside of Mick Schumacher, make the move work. Cut the chicane a little bit, but we had the move done before we got there, so I just went going. If I made the move off track, I would have gained a spot back, but we didn't, so we keep going. Looks like Gasly's trying to make a move on Latifi, but he is stuck there right this moment. And these guys are still out on track, so that's going to be the hard part with these guys. It started on the mediums. Where they are, it's going to hold up people that have already pitted. So I was trying to get a gap on these guys, so that way when I did get by them, I wasn't going to be under threat by any of them. So I was just trying to get away from them, so that way, when I did get by, I was okay. So next goal was to get past Raikkonen, which I did the next turn. Got by pretty easily there. And then the goal was to catch Stroll and Ocon before they pitted, at least got behind them. So Valtteri's leading, Max is second, Alonso third, which is 13 seconds behind Max, and Vettel is fourth. Those two started on mediums as well, I believe, or hards. So they are going the long game first. Leclerc is in fifth, who already pitted. Norris is in sixth, and then Ocon and Stroll also did not pit. So it'll be interesting to see when these guys actually do pit, because obviously I don't remember when they did. See how far they go. So our goal here was to just catch the back of Stroll and Ocon before they pitted. That way I could keep moving and not have an issue there. So trying to catch Stroll before the braking point there, and I did get to the inside of him, so we make the move. Next was to get to Ocon, so we get to the next straight after that. We were within a second. We weren't on the DRS zone before we got there, so we had to do that all by power. and see what we can do moving forward. I'm going to the next straight here, before the next half lap. We are within braking zone, and we do make a big dive to get to him, but we do make the move work. So we keep moving, and now the goal is just to go as far forward as we can until I pit, which end of lap 19, Vettel pits. Puts on medium tires, which is kind of strange, but he did. And then, so we do get jump on him. So the only other one to not pit up front was Alonso. So just try to stay within the pit window range of him, so that way we didn't have no issues going forward and not have any, so that way we could still jump him on the pit stop. So Max is still trying to catch Bottas, but I don't think he is going to, just by looking at it. Moving forward to the end of lap 20. Looks like Alonso's still doing good to hold off Leclerc. So is he going to go to end of lap 29 or 30 to get put on softs, or is he going to pit to put on medium? So that's going to be the question here. Just kind of see going through the running order, see where everybody's at currently. And it looks like Alonso's coming at the lap 20, so he is putting on mediums. I think the only one left to pit was Vettel, maybe, or Stroll. I don't remember 100% to put on to make his stop, because there's only one left. But these guys in the back are pitting, so just kind of showing the other stops. And it looks like Ocon comes in to put on mediums. So I think one of the Astons made it to the end, or made it close to the end, if I remember right, to like lap 28 or 29. I think it was Vettel or Stroll, one of the two, which held the other teammate up. So it did help me get away from these guys. I'm pretty sure Stroll hasn't pitted yet. So it helped me get away enough to where when my tires did start falling off, I had a gap to where I didn't have to worry about getting past. So we're just going forward here. Towards the end of lap 24, we got Valtteri and Max still in second. And then we got a Ferrari and a McLaren in third and fourth. So a mixed bag of cars. We have 6 different teams in the top 6 on six positions here, which is pretty crazy if you think about it, how far apart they're spread. So just kind of taking the laps off here, just to give you guys an idea where we're sitting. We're about 12 seconds behind Norris, which I knew I wasn't going to get on him. I was just trying to get as much of a gap on the Astons as I could, so that way when Stroll did pit, I had room to work. You see your Vettel's still trying to get by him on the fresher tires, and he has no room to move. So the goal here, like I said, was just to get past them and get ahead of them as far as I could. So jumping forward here to lap 26. Stroll has not pitted yet, and he still has them backed up to about 9 seconds now. So I don't remember when he pitted. Hopefully, like I said, softs can go about 10 to 12 laps here, so hopefully he pits soon, but I don't think he does this lap. He stays out. So that's going to back all these guys up some, because the AI, for some reason, when they're stuck in train like this, will not make moves if they're not close enough. They won't attempt it. So looks like Stroll comes in at the end of lap 27 to put on softs, looks like. Yep, so that's when he pits, and he doesn't look all the time. He loses to everybody. He moves them on the points and everything. So now Stroll is on the move to try to catch us, which it was basically 9 laps of me trying to push Sutter now that I had a gap, try to stay ahead of him. So coming forward here, we're moving to the end of lap 31, just showing that Valtteri's leading by Max almost 9 seconds now. He has a heck of a gap over everybody. So could this be the third different winner in four races for this season? That's what we're hoping to see. Max is in second. He is held up by some lap cars, so that is why he is dropping back, looks like. And then Leclerc is in third, which is 18 seconds behind Max. So there's a decent gap between cars behind him. Norris is right on Leclerc's tail, and we're about 20 seconds behind Norris. So we are starting to drop back. I think I pitted a little bit too early, but I needed to for the track position, I feel. So the goal was just to hold my pace as much as I could in the next 8 or 9 laps. So just kind of moving forward here, just kind of hoping to see what we can keep. Gasly is in the points. He's a P8, so that's good for our team. Get double points. Moving towards lap 34 here. Did pretty decent. So hopefully we can finish out this race strong and keep that P5. Then we only have a 1.7 second gap. So the goal here now is just to save the tires in ERS for as long as I could, just so that way I didn't lose out to Vettel and Alonso at the end of this race. So on lap 36, they're right on my tail now. They both have DRS, so now I am starting to drain the battery just to try to stay ahead as much as I can so I don't lose out any positions to these two. Like I said, I just got to use the walls to my advantage so that way they couldn't get by me. Like I said, the AI won't really make an attempt to pass unless they feel that they can make it. So like I said, the goal is just keeping behind me here. So moving forward, see what we got. Just kind of watch the video, and I'll jump in when I have a comment, I guess. I just gotta try to keep them two behind me down the hairpin. I'm going through lap 27 up the, or 37 up the hill. We're starting to catch some lap traffic, and I saw them up ahead of me, so I was trying to get in there close enough to where I could use them to block the guys behind me some. Try to get a gap, but I got them at the wrong time, so it just basically hurt me more than anything else. See, I caught the back of I want to say it was Russell. I did get by him with the hairpin, and that was Latifi. So I tried to get ahead of him far enough to where it was going to help me, where he held him up, but I think he let him by the next turn. So it didn't help me too much that he let him by there. So it gave me about a second of breathing room for a little bit, but he caught right back up the next straight. So it didn't do too much as far as help goes. So starting lap 37, you kind of see where we're at. Still have about a half a second gap on him. So now it's just being pretty much defending my life away at these last two laps. You can see Bottas is leading, Max is second, and Leclerc is third. So that's where those guys will finish. Norris finished fourth. So as we're on the last lap now, just kind of showing where we actually finish. We're on through the tunnel for the last time. Just basically, I just blocked the inside here so that way they couldn't get by me and held them up. So I just make sure just not to lose it. We do make it to fifth. So here, this is the top 10 right now. Bottas got first, Max second, Leclerc third, Norris fourth, me fifth, Vettel sixth, Alonso seventh, Gasly eighth, Hamilton ninth, and Sainz in 10th. So that's the points finishes for this race. And then all those guys that finished down there did not get any points. So looking at the driver standings, we do not lose or gain any spots, but we do stay with Ferrari. We do stay ahead of Norris by 2 points. So the goal here now is just to keep the position and try to gain as many spots as possible moving forward, so we can keep this, at least stay at the top 6 of the driver standings would be the goal for the season. That way we had something to move off of in the coming races. So jumping forward, look at the constructor standings. I believe we did gain a spot in this race. We did. We jumped McLaren because of us both getting finishes, and Ricardo went out of the points. So Gasly finished in 8th, gave us 4 points. And me finishing in 5th gave us 10. So that jumps us by 2 points over McLaren. So the goal now is to chase down Ferrari, see if we can't get P3. So if you guys liked the video, give us a like. We are going to be back here next week for another couple videos. We are at Azerbaijan next race. So see you then, and goodbye.